Have you ever experienced deep, lasting happiness? Some happiness is like a wave. It rises, then it recedes. One day you feel it, and the next day it's gone. It's something we all want, isn't it? To be happy, to stay happy. But how does that happen? Let's examine what God reveals about happiness and answer the question, how can you find true, lasting happiness? Fill in the blank. Happiness is. You've probably seen that phrase completed 100 different ways online. Happiness is a big hug, a hot cup of coffee, coming home. How would you finish that sentence? Happiness is. What is happiness to you? Are you happy now? Or is happy something you used to be once upon a time before the difficulties and harsh realities of life beat you down? Surveys conducted around the world have shown that happiness is what people long for the most. A 2025 Gallup poll shows that less than half the adults in the United States describe themselves as very satisfied with their personal lives, the lowest level since Gallup began tracking in 2001. This means that most Americans believe they could be more satisfied or happier in life. The most popular class at Yale University's 300-plus year history is about happiness, how to be happy. Today, it seems that most people in the Western world think happiness is something we deserve. The U.S. Declaration of Independence mentions the right to the pursuit of happiness. But that idea is actually pretty new. For most of history, people didn't think about happiness that way. Life was hard, full of war, sickness, and the struggle to survive. Even King Solomon, who had everything he could want, said that life felt meaningless. He wrote, "What do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? All their days, their work is grief and pain. Even at night, their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless." He said it all seemed like chasing the wind, something you can never really catch. And he wasn't the only one who thought that. Looking back through history, we don't see a lot of happiness. It's mostly stories of pain and struggle. Maybe the way we think about happiness today is incomplete. Might there be something deeper that we're missing? Research and surveys consistently show that many common ideas about how to find happiness often don't work. Here are some of the most common myths about finding happiness. Myth number 1, chasing wealth and material things. Many people think, if I just had more money, I'd be happier. But studies show that while higher income can improve happiness to a point, especially for those struggling financially, the effect of money tapers off. Once you're living comfortably, more money adds little to happiness, and for some, none at all. What does that tell us? Wealth does not guarantee lasting joy. Those who prioritize materialism often experience lower life satisfaction and more anxiety. Myth number 2, pursuing pleasure and comfort above all else. Some people think, if I just do what feels good, I'll be happy. In reality, we find that a life centered on pleasure often leads to emptiness. Research shows that hedonism, that is, constant pleasure seeking, brings temporary highs, but little lasting joy and happiness. People focused only on ease and fun report lower levels of long-term contentment and meaning. Myth number 3, trying to control everything. Some people think if I can just change my situation, get my life under control, then I'll be happy. But full control is unrealistic. Life is unpredictable. Studies show that resilience, not control, is more helpful for our well-being. People who take setbacks in stride and focus on how they can influence circumstances rather than control them tend to be happier. Myth number 4, relying on achievement or success. Some believe if I achieve enough, grades, promotions, awards, I'll finally be happy and fulfilled. But the reality is, while accomplishments feel great for a short while, there's always a higher rung on that ladder. Satisfaction keeps moving just out of reach. We keep striving, believing the next rung will finally bring lasting fulfillment. This kind of success treadmill leaves many high achievers feeling burned out, dissatisfied, and unhappy. Myth number 5, expecting a relationship to make you happy. This is when one thinks, if I just find the right person, I'll be happy. While relationships are important, relying entirely on someone else for your happiness can lead to disappointment. Your sense of happiness suffers when the relationship is stressed, or if you're expecting your partner to be the primary source of your happiness. When that happens, the relationship will be stressed and you won't be happy. Myth number 6, avoiding pain and difficulty. Some have the idea that happiness means never suffering, never struggling. However, life teaches us that struggles often lead to personal growth. We grow stronger and more resilient when we face challenges and difficulties. People who engage with life's challenges and learn from them report a deeper kind of joy than those who try to avoid hardship altogether. Myth number 7, comparing yourself to others. Some think if my life looked more like theirs, I'd be happy. But constantly measuring our lives against others leads to envy and dissatisfaction. Social media makes this problem more widespread and often causes more personal dissatisfaction. Studies show that upward comparison, that is, comparing ourselves to people we perceive as being better off, is linked to lower self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. Never mind the fact that the way someone's life looks and the way it actually is aren't necessarily the same. There are people out there who put a lot of work into looking happy without being happy. But the more we compare, the more we feel we're falling short, even when we're doing well. There is always someone else to compare ourselves to, and we are never satisfied. So these are common ways of seeking happiness that do not work. So what does work? How can we find true, lasting happiness? To answer that question, let's see what God says in the Bible. King Solomon wrote in Proverbs chapter 29, "Happy is he who keeps the law." What a simple statement. It almost sounds too simplistic. But when we look deeper into Solomon's words, they are packed with meaning. Think about this. The 10 Commandments are considered the foundation of God's law. Yet, surveys show today that most people cannot name even 5 of them. This shows an appalling ignorance or maybe an intentional disregard for God's commandments. Jesus taught that God's laws are actually rooted in love. He taught that all of God's laws, including the 10 Commandments, are based on showing love toward God and love toward one another. A lawyer once came to Jesus and asked him, "Which is the great commandment in the law?" Jesus answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. God's laws show us how to show love, outgoing concern for God and those around us. This is key to finding lasting joy and happiness, to listen to what God says. He created us. He knows how we work. He knows what brings happiness and what doesn't. Satan, the devil, on the other hand, tries to deceive us into thinking that selfish pursuits bring happiness. All those myths we just talked about, all those approaches that seem like they should bring happiness but ultimately don't, that's where Satan wants you to focus, spinning your wheels, building up resentment, frustration, and emptiness. God says that showing concern and compassion for others is key to having a happy life. And His commandments describe the foundational ways we show love toward God and our neighbors. If you need more scientific support for this, consider the 2025 World Happiness Report. It concludes that real, lasting happiness comes not from turning inward, but from turning outward toward others. The report highlights that benevolence, acts of caring and sharing, not only help those in need, but also bring measurable benefits to the person doing the helping. But there's a key finding in the study. Happiness is strongest when the motivation is sincere, the action is voluntary, and the recipient is clearly helped. This runs counter to a growing trend of helping others in order to feel good, which is a form of self-interest. According to the 2019 World Happiness Report, people felt happier when their actions were motivated by a genuine concern for others rather than by benefits for themselves. In other words, people are happiest when they genuinely care for others, not when they treat kindness as a way to get happiness. Joy and happiness come from giving, not getting. This study reinforces a timeless truth we find in Acts chapter 20, where Jesus Christ said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." True joy grows not by obsessing over our own happiness, but by living with love and concern for others. There are many ways to show love and concern for others. Keeping the 10 Commandments is foundational, but there is more. In His Sermon on the Mount, Jesus taught that God intends us to keep not only the letter of the law, but also the spirit of the law. He said, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not murder,' and whoever murders will be in danger of the judgment. But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment." Jesus went even further. He said, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. As I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Having genuine love for one another is a key to happiness. What does that love look like? Love can be expressed in many ways. For instance, by encouragement. Are you an encourager? When you see others who are discouraged or sad, do you offer words of encouragement? Are you there for them to lean on, to support them? This kind of sincere encouragement of others brings happiness into our lives. Another way to show love is by showing kindness and patience. All too often, we experience the impatience of others and the unkindness that often comes with it. We also show love when we serve and give to others. We may do something for someone or give them something they need. These seemingly small acts of love, when done out of genuine concern for others, build a sense of joy and happiness in our lives. Now, there is something else that contributes to true, lasting happiness, and that's understanding why you are alive. It's knowing God's purpose for you. According to the Bible, God has created humanity, each of us, for a reason. God made us in His image with an amazing purpose for becoming part of His family. By learning to love one another, we are becoming more like God. God helps us to build His very character in us. He's preparing us for something far greater than this temporary life. That is inspiring. Real joy and happiness cannot be fully realized without a deep sense of purpose and meaning in life. When we understand our God-given purpose, it changes everything. It gives us a sense of direction and hope, even in hard times. The Apostle Paul wrote, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." When we can see more of the bigger picture, struggles and setbacks that once brought unhappy feelings no longer feel so pointless. We see them as part of what helps us grow, part of how God shapes us into who we're meant to be. That kind of purpose brings peace, it brings confidence, and it brings a joy that lasts. If you're searching for happiness, don't believe the self-centered myths. Look deeper. Ask God to help you understand His way of life and His purpose for your life. I encourage you to dig deeper into this by downloading our free booklet, God's Purpose for You, Discovering Why You Were Born. Have you ever wondered about the purpose for your life? For thousands of years, people have asked, why do we exist? And do we have a future after we die? This booklet will guide you through Scripture to discover the amazing purpose that God has for you now, and you'll also discover the inspiring purpose that God has for you for all eternity. Download your copy today. God wants you to experience joy and happiness. There are many myths about finding happiness, but through His Word, God is giving you the truth about finding it. I'm Gary Black. Thank you for joining us on Life, Hope, and Truth Presents. We here at Life, Hope, and Truth believe it's our job to take the gospel message to the whole world. It's a story that involves you, God, and an incredible future. To stay updated, be sure to ring that bell and subscribe to our channel. You can also learn more about these topics on our website, lifehopeandtruth.com. Take care.